It's your boy, Amreezy, and I'm back with another Road to Sorare Boss episode in this series where we follow my journey on Sorare, the wonderful world of Sorare. It's all changing in August with the new roadmap, but for now, we're just enjoying Sorare for what it is, and we're kind of preparing for changes in August. We don't know fully how it's going to go, so we're just enjoying it while it lasts. We do still have the capped leagues at the moment, even though the threshold has changed, and it is not as appealing at the moment, but we've still got that. We've still got Champion America, which I entered a few weeks ago for the first time, buying a few Mexican cards. I love the Mexican League, so I'm delighted with that. And this week, I'll be revealing that I'm entering another realm of Sorare, which is the U23 League. I'm going to be joining that for the first time. I bought my first two cards for that league, and I'm going to be kind of piecing it together, a few other pieces. I'll let you know what I'm thinking when I show you my new cards and my gallery that I've bought since the last video. For now, let's start with how I did last weekend in game week 453. So this is how I did last weekend in game week 453. There was a midweek game week, but I didn't really have any serious teams to put out for that. As you can see here, I put out a few teams, but they're all just mainly academy teams and teams just to build up XP. So nothing serious midweek from me, unfortunately. Another quiet midweek. However, last weekend was busy, was noisy, nothing serious won, unfortunately. The closest we came to a reward, the most exciting league, was the 270. And these four players, these four players played first. My goalkeeper, defender, Bester, and Soleil. They all played first. Captain delivered. Amazing Soleil. Delighted with him. Great card to have at the moment. Hope he continues his good form. He's had 2 really good weeks now. Hope they can get a bit of a run going at RB, and he can be a great card for me. I picked him up when he was injured for really cheap. Delighted with him at the moment. Best Air did well, obviously. He's our best card. The Best Air, he does well, 72. Munoz at Crystal Palace, a great little pickup for me that I got for very cheap when the roadmap happened and all the card prices tanked. He's somebody I picked up because he'd been scoring really well at Genk, moved to Crystal Palace. Now I'm hoping with Palace, getting rid of Hodgson, hopefully they can keep some form going. But he's really attacking, gets a lot of points, so 85. The goalkeeper, 46, not great. So those four players played, and I was like, I think 100, about like 100th in the table. Really well. I basically needed Maysebar to do something impressive. He didn't. He gave us the lowest score on the team, so we didn't get anything from the 270. We got 150 coins, but not what we wanted. There was a time when we had a tier 2 card, and I was like, oh, can we hold on? Can we hold on? But then he just flopped completely. So if he'd have delivered a nice score, just scored 1 goal. I mean, they had an easy fixture. They were at home, easy fixture. And he'd done well the week before, but that's Sorare. That is the wonderful world of Sorare. So we didn't end up winning anything, really. The other leagues were the 220, where Mari did okay. Watanabe gave his worst score for a few weeks. Calvert-Lewin, very frustrating. I've sold Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin has gone from my squad now. He's gone from the club. I've sold him. I got him. One of the first cards I got when I first started playing around Christmas last year was Calvert-Lewin. And now that Premier League in-season cards are worth a little more because everybody wants Premier League in-season, I'm not playing Premier League in-season. So I sold Calvert-Lewin for a bit of a profit for what I bought him because other people want him because they're playing Premier League in-season, so they can have him. You're welcome. Good luck with Calvert-Lewin. He's a very frustrating player to own. He's either injured or does nothing, so enjoy. And then Silla did nothing as well, so nothing really exciting in the 220. The 240 I kind of put together as a bit of a punt because at 270, sorry, was my aim. That's where I was getting for the juice. That's where I wanted the points. This was the league I was most hopeful for, but Maysebar let me down. If he'd have done well, would have won a card, but oh well. 240, Union SG still continue to frustrate me. Basically, I've got both Union G wingers, Castro Montes and Lapoussin. However, since the winter break, they just both don't play. So this week, I think Lapoussin didn't start. Castro Montes did. It was the opposite way around the game before. I'm still none the wiser about Union SG. I'm kind of thinking of just selling the wingers, to be honest, because they're more frustrating than they're worth. But Castro Montes, again, was a punt. That's why this team was very punty. Goalkeeper didn't play, was never going to play. He was my Santos backup goalkeeper. Castro Montes My boy Villapando in the Mexican League did okay, 52. Awaniwi is still doing really good, 71 for him. I mean, if everyone else would have put up a decent score, that would have been a good score. And then Rashika captain, bad. Thumbs down, Rashika. Made you captain because you were on a run. Didn't deliver. I just saw my camera effect do something really crazy there. I am on a new camera because I'm on the move, actually. I'm doing a bit of traveling. So we're using a different camera and it just put up a nice little effect there. But that was quite fitting. Gave me something. I like those effects. So that was how I did last weekend. Oh, Champion America. I love the Champion America. I love the Mexican League. However, I'm at the very early stages of this and I'm still piecing together my Champion America team. It's not ready yet. I've got the goalkeeper, my Santos goalkeeper, and I'm picking up, I think Alan Montes is a good defender. I've got Preciado as a striker, but he's injured at the moment. I've got a couple of good midfielders. I think I still need to buy another midfielder and maybe another striker to give me solid backup for when Preciado is injured. But for now, we're just throwing out Champion America squads to kind of build up the form, to kind of build up the XP points. Santos finally got a win at the weekend. The Santos boys, my beloved Santos Laguna, they got a win. So my goalkeeper got a nice goal, Acevedo. Santiago Munoz, who is in the team while Preciado is injured, he's not great. He's not great. He's a very young player, so he could fit into my U23 league, which I have plans for. But for now, he's 20 years old, 21, I think, maybe, and he's just not there yet. But hopefully he comes good. I've got him because he's the backup to Preciado, so I've always got the Santos striking options covered. But 51 points for him, not great. And Nathan Silva, usually a solid defender for Pumas, 30 points from him, so not the best week for him. So those are the scores. That's how I did last week. Let's take a little look at the cards that I bought since the last week. So last week, I think I'd only bought a few Mexican cards because that's where I'm looking to expand. But now I've decided to go into the U23 mode because I like the fact that when the roadmap changes, the U23 league is going to be the only global league in the world where you can kind of pick players from any league. And I quite like the fact that you can kind of go for young, talented players who should be good investments and should be moving into the other leagues and be good players anyway. So what I'm thinking is I've got a lot of Mexican cards who are fit the U23 category at the moment. So with my tactic of kind of buying young Mexican players who could be good, who I've watched and thought he looks decent, he could become a player in the next couple of years. That could be me. That could be good for my Mexican league. That could be good for Champion America, but it could also be good for the U23 league. So the cards that I've bought are a goalkeeper. I needed a goalkeeper. You got to start with a goalkeeper, and I went for Big Obed, playing in Paris FC, the real team in Paris. From now on, that's my Paris team. I got him in goal because good scores, very young. He wasn't sort of one of the top elite goalkeepers, but he's so young, and I looked at sort of the data from the past goalkeepers, and I did think kind of like it's very hard to know which goalkeeper is going to be regularly good. However, he seems to be the number one, has been the number one for a while, and is 20 years old. So I've got 3 years with him. So I thought, good price as well. He's in. The second card I bought for the U23 was Destiny Udogie at Spurs. Very attacking player. I got him for like below his market price, about £8 I paid for him. He seems to be going for about £10, so I got what I thought was a good deal. Let's see if it is. Let's see if it works out. But that's sort of going to be my backbone. I'm thinking of my U23 squad. I'm kind of thinking for next season, but a little bit for this season. So I'm going to be putting out squads now, but I don't think they're going to be ready until next season. So I've got the goalkeeper, I've got a defender, and then I've kind of got some Mexican midfielders and strikers that I can kind of piece together for now until I buy a couple of more solid midfielders and strikers in the U23 league. I did buy the new Chivas guy, Cade Cowell. I watched his last game at Chivas. He looks exciting. He's a young player from the US. I think he might have sort of dual heritage, Mexican and US. But he's come from the US. He's playing for Chivas. He's coming just off that left wing. He's got cool hair. I thought for £2.66, I've got to get this guy. So again, he also fits the U23 league as well. So if he can kick on at Chivas and look at his score in his last game. If he can keep this kind of form 76 in his last game. He did have a few spells here where he's coming off the bench. 100 here, so you know, he's got it in his locker. He's 20 years old. He's a gamble. I think the only other cards that I bought since the last week were Aguirre, who is a former Santos player now at Atlas. So a little update on my Mexican teams. I do like to follow Santos and Atlas, who like to swap their players a lot. So having stacks from both, I think, could be a good strategy. So Aguirre is on loan at Atlas from Santos at the moment. So he's in there because he's just come back from an injury. Yeah, I think you can see here. He did this 62 was his debut for Atlas. He scored and got injured as he scored. He then had a couple of game weeks injured. He came back at the weekend against Tigres, a very hard game to judge him fully. He was coming back from injury. It was against Tigres. It wasn't the best score. However, we're hoping he picks up where he left off on his debut and starts coming good. And 70p, by the way, absolute bargain. This is what I'm doing in Mexico, buying bargains. The other team that I'm kind of, Santos and Atlas are kind of the two Mexican teams I'm targeting. But I do have about 3 players now from Necaxa because they're one of the licensed teams on Sorare. So I've been able to pick up a few of the players. And Necaxa are okay. They're kind of mid-table. I don't know if they're ever going to be one of the worst teams in the league or one of the best. But a few of their players get good scores. And this boy, Brian, the most Mexican-sounding name ever, Brian, he had a little dip recently, but he's put up a few good scores here. And if you look last season, you know, there were some peaks now and again. So I thought for a cheap price, you never really know with these guys. I mean, recently, 77 and an 80. Perhaps he's in a different formation. I'm going to scout him a little bit more closely, but I think I saw one game of Necaxa that he was playing. It wasn't this one. It might have been the 49. And I thought he looked lively. I thought basically Necaxa might be a team where when they're playing one of the worst teams in the league, I go heavy on Necaxa. If not, I sort of just keep them in the squad. And I bought Ethan Pinnock from Brentford because he was very cheap in season. I might even sell him when he comes back from injury. But he's a good player when he's fit, Ethan Pinnock. So I thought at that price in the auction, I couldn't say no. One thing I've noticed is I am outside of the UK at the moment. So I have noticed that the auctions, when they're quite late here, when no one's awake in the UK, I think I might be able to pick up a few bargains. I got Ethan Pinnock at a time when maybe other people, if it was like in the UK at peak time, when people are all online, they might have bought him, but no one was interested in Ethan Pinnock, so I snapped him up. So they're the cards that I've bought since the last week. Let's take a look at my lineups for this coming weekend. These are my lineups for this coming game week 455. So, U23 league for the first time I'm going to be entering. Here it is. It's the goalkeeper that I've just bought. We can't play Destiny Udogi at the moment because he's a 50-50 doubt to play. He's been injured for a few weeks, hence why I got him for a slightly lower price. But he's expected to maybe come back this weekend or the next weekend, I think. So I'm not going to risk him this weekend in case he doesn't play. I've put him in my academy team, I think. Can't see the academy team. Show more teams. I put him in the academy team to build up his XP points, along with João Paulinho, who's suspended, Preciado and Reece James, who are still injured, and my goalkeeper, who basically facilitates the academy team. So that means the U23 team is going to have Alan Montes from Necaxa. I did say I'm a bit of a Necaxa boy now, I'm sorry. Alan Montes likes to put up a good score at Necaxa. Hopefully he can do good. He's on a Friday. I quite like having a game on a Friday to give me something to watch, something to root for. And then I've got these 3 players that, to be honest, I'm not really expecting too much. It's very punty. I'm kind of more or less just seeing how the U20 league goes. I'm going to be looking at other teams, seeing how they do. But there is a chance all of these Mexican teams deliver. Jeremy Marquez, he's got a tricky game. I think they're playing America, so it's not the easiest game. But he did score last game, Marquez, and he looks pretty lively. So I've got him. I've got the Chivas youngster, the 20-year-old Cade Cowell, hoping he comes good. And then I've got Fulgencio at Atlas too. So 2 Atlas players in a tricky game, which is why that's quite a punty lineup. But let's see how it goes. You know, I still need to pick up 1 or 2 more U23 cards so that next weekend I've got a better, stronger squad for this league. However, for now, that's how it's looking. Champion America, Santos, after their first win in what feels like 60 years, Hopefully Santos can keep going. They're also playing on the Friday. So let's see. Acevedo in goal. He's the only one I'm going for, Santos, really, because although they won, they were playing Mazatlan at home. It was an easy game, and they just about won. So they've got a little trickier game against Querétaro this weekend. I'm not as optimistic, so I'm just playing the goalkeeper. Nathan Silva at Pumas in defence. Villapando in midfield. Aguirre. I'm going to captain Aguirre. Now, it's a bit of a punt because he has just come back from injury. It wasn't, didn't do a great score in his last game. However, I'm kind of really rooting for Atlas this weekend. I've got 2 in the U23 and I've got the captain in my Champion America. So let's hope Atlas deliver. And then Brian playing on a Friday night as well. He's in there as well. So the league that I'm kind of more optimistic about again, where most of my hopes are once again the Cap 270. Where we're going to be playing Union SG Roulette with the wingers, with Lapoussin. We're going to be hoping he plays. I hope Castro Montes plays on the other wing as well, because I've got him in another lineup, but Lapoussin didn't play the last game. So I've looked at his sort of form, and he's been playing one, not playing another, playing one, not playing another. So he's due by that pattern to play the next game. And they've got a nice fixture. Good fixture. Let's see what he does. Bilal's in goal. Soleil is going to be my captain because they've been on a good run. Soleil's been putting up some good scores. Let's take a bit of a more in-depth look. Soleil, look at this form. At 89 and a 76. And 8% bonus. Make him a captain. Let's see what you can do. So Soleil is going to be my captain. Maysebar, he didn't deliver last week, but they've got an okay fixture. The team they're playing are, I think, second, 2 places above the relegation zone. So hopefully they think they're safe and Maysebar can pounce on them. And then Awaniwi has got Liverpool, which isn't putting me off as a fixture because Liverpool can concede goals. And Nottingham Forest are on a bit of a good run. They're at home. And I do think that Liverpool might be slightly distracted with other competitions. Possibly getting a bit tired now. They are putting out a lot of kids. They did annoyingly for me beat Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final with some kids. They also played in the FA Cup final with some kids. Not FA Cup final, an FA Cup game, which they beat, I think, Southampton. They beat them with kids as well. I do think possibly Liverpool are going to get a little bit tired, maybe take their foot off in the league. And even though they might beat Nottingham Forest, at least their defence could be a bit vulnerable. Awani is in good form. Hopefully he can take advantage. So that's my Cap 270 team. The other 2 teams I'm putting out on, I'm not really as optimistic about. I'm optimistic, but I don't think as much is going to come from them. The 240, it's a DNP goalkeeper, so I'm really hoping the other 4 deliver. Castro Montes at Union SG, again, let's see what happens. If he plays, great. He'll probably do well, but he could come off the bench. Beste, he's in this team because he's, again, a 50-50 doubt. He did go off injured in the last game. He scored and then went off injured 2 minutes later, so he's a 50-50. It doesn't seem like it's a serious injury, but he's a 50-50, so he's not going to make the 270 squad. I'm going to put him in the 240 squad with Andy Robertson as captain. Why not? He's been in a good run. I think he's got 3 weeks in a row now with 60-plus scores, so Andy Robertson's in. And Silla has a good fixture, but we've learnt with Silla, even if he has a good fixture, we never know what's going to happen with him. He seems to do well randomly. We've looked at the data. We've been on Sorare data. We've studied the form. We've studied the graphs. Our conclusion is there's no logic, so let's see what he does. And then these 2 teams are literally just thrown together. Cap 220, another Atlas player, Ramiro Sordo, Santos youngster. He came off the bench in the last game. This is the boy that I'm hoping is the new Brunete for Santos. He came off the bench in the last game. By the way, he's from the same team that Messi came from in Argentina, Newell's Old Boys. So, new Messi maybe? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Ramiro Sordo, maybe new Messi. I'd settle for new Brunetta. He's back from injury now at Santos. I don't know if he's going to start on the bench or get a game. I'm hoping he starts, but for that reason and a bit of uncertainty, he's in this punty lineup with Eduardo Atuesta, who I won. Was my first ever Sorare reward at Eduardo Atuesta. Hence why he's still in my club, because I've got a fond spot for him in my heart. He's moved to LAFC. He came off the bench for his debut, played last game and got, I think, a 56, 57. I'm hoping that's an upward spike. I'm hoping he's going to kick form now. I'm going to captain him. Why not? Now I'm going to captain Pablo Mari. I'll stick with Pablo Mari, the more sensible one. But exciting news about my first ever card that I ever won. Eduardo Atuesta, now at LAFC, playing games. Let's follow his career. And then Premier League specialist with 4 Premier League cards that I basically had left over. And a goalkeeper who's common, David Raya. So Raya has Sheffield United, and then 4 Premier League cards that were just left over. Captain Raheem Sterling because my heart, not my head. So those are my lineups for the week, people. If you've liked the video, do give it a like and a subscribe. Leave me some advice in the comments. Follow me on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. And good luck with your Game Week 455s. I'll see you next week. Peace.